Hey, baseball fans. I am the PPL Commish, Brenden. I also am our St. Louis Browns general manager. And joining me to my right, the screen's left, is the creator of Backfields Media and its subsidiary, Backfields Retro, as well as our Detroit Tigers GM, Tim Lowery. Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well, Brenden. How are you?
You know what? I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic because we are, as of recording, 4 days away from the start of our 1950 PPL season. That is our third season as a league. I am incredibly excited that we've made it to 3 seasons. I honestly wasn't sure if we'd make it through our first, so this is just all bonus money at this point.
It is a fun league to be a part of, and thank you for inviting me and adding my own special wit and wisdom to the Detroit Tigers.
Well, wit. I know we got wit. Wisdom does come with age, so I think we might have some wisdom too.
You just called me old. That's great.
Well, I said as of taping, we're 4 days away. This video should be coming out on Tuesday, so 3 days until the day of the debut of our 1950 season. Let's go ahead and get into what we're doing today. So we are going to go through the 8 American League teams, and we are going to spend some time talking about each team, talk about the direction that they're on, talk about the roster, say what we think that team's going to do. Here's the catch. We have only got 3 minutes to talk about each team. I will have my phone right here. I'm going to have it set for a timer for 3 minutes. When that timer starts, we each take turns talking about a team. Whoever takes the lead gives their brief spiel. The other person gets a chance to respond. Once that timer hits, can't go over the limit. We got to cut it off. I mean, obviously, if the point runs over, whatever, but got to get it in underneath that 3 minute mark. Each of us have one timeout we can call if we want to go out to the pitcher's mound and we want to have a little bit more of a conversation before we get this thing moving on. So, without further ado, I'm going to open up this. My phone died right before we started this, and I had to put it on the charger. And you can't open it with the touch button, so I had to put my password in. This is some good quality broadcasting right here.
Indeed.
All right, timer is open. We are going to kick things off, or I'm sorry, get our first. I keep using these football euphemisms. Tim's going to throw our first pitch, starting off with the Philadelphia Athletics. Your time starts now.
All right. Philadelphia last year finished second. They were a really good team, had some nice balance, good scoring, excellent run prevention. What I like the most about this team is that the core is young. I think one of the things all of the general managers saw when they got their first file is how old their teams were, very similar to real life back in the 1940s. And so we have been chopping and changing, and this team's a perfect example of that. Be Sokol came out of nowhere and, was great. Roberto Diaz in center field, who's brilliant, probably going to be one of the better players in the game within a year or two. The pitching staff is awesome. Enrique Bravo is a particular favorite of mine, as is Jack Wiseman. That is also a young team. They made a lot of shifts and changes, dealt some prospects, gotten some back. I still like this team to be competitive, but when you see who the number one team is, at least for me, I think they will struggle to approach the pennant by the end of the year. But overall, Athletics are a very solid team.
I can't say I disagree with that. One of the nice things about this team was its ability to find replacements for the 2 aces that got hurt early last year. Jack Wiseman regained his Baldazzo form. Melvin Valdez, matured into the ace everyone thought he might be. And Kike Bravo, again, fantastic young pitcher. I think the big thing for this team is going to be twofold. It's going to be first, it's going to be can new general manager Aiden, who is now on his second trip around with this team, can he find a way to get this team more offense enough to compete with the Yankees because the pitching is there? And can he use the financial resources the Athletics have? They have quite a bit of money to spend on amateur free agents once we get to that time of the season, because this is a team that can afford to add more prospects to its system to replenish the ones they've just traded.
Yeah. And one final thing I have, their up the middle defense, well, their defense in general was the best in the league last year. They were first in both efficiency and zone rating, so I don't see that being a problem either. They can just hit to get them over the top.
Absolutely, and I got to say, I got to give myself some props because I built that team. I built that team up, and I tell you what, defense matters. Defense up the middle matters, especially in this era where they're not going to be striking out a lot of guys.
Yes, absolutely. Ball's in play a lot. All right.
We got it in right under the bell.
On the nose.
Good job, us. All right, Tim, you have my list of teams that I'm covering?
Yes.
You go ahead and pick me for one.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about the Detroit Tigers. Get them out of the way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I understand the impulse to say that you want to get the Tigers out of the way. I do. The Tigers have finished in last place each of the last 2 years. The Tigers have historically been one of the weakest teams in the American League. What is there to say about the Tigers? They've got some young players who I'm really excited about. Brian Uribe is freaking awesome. I mean, personality issues aside, we understand that he likes to spend his nights out partying. He's kind of a douchebag, as the reports go, amongst his teammates. But the man backs it up on the field. John Johnson. Last year, John Johnson only hit 16 home runs. I would say only hit 16 home runs. He hit 16 home runs, which is a decent total for this time period. But it felt like when I was running the Sims, I would see a big John Johnson home run a lot. Like I just felt like I noticed his name come up in the box score. I would see the Tigers pull ahead in a game because John Johnson hit a home run. Mm-hmm. I think at 24 years old, he's going to be a cornerstone for this team.
Absolutely.
It gets a little bit more bleak after that. The pitching is mainly full of guys who can stand there and not embarrass themselves completely.
Well, not consistently not embarrass themselves.
That's a completely not yeah. Consistently, maybe it's a little bit better. There's some nice bullpen pieces. I like Josh Wilson a lot. I like Travis Steiner. Josh Wilson, I believe, was he was a minor league signing. There was a Rule 5 pick, David Buckley, who I also like. I think the bullpen could actually end up being a decent strength for this team. Where do you see, as the Tigers GM, your overall roster and the direction it's heading?
Definitely trying to go very young and learning from past mistakes with other GMing that I've done, and being more aggressive and making changes. I'm shifting Yarv to third base this year.
Oh, okay.
Because I have John Hahn, who is really good shortstop, really good up the middle, has some decent contact potential. I want to give him the chance to win the everyday shortstop job, not because of Yarv's issues, his personality issues, but because zone rating last year, he was negative 11 at shortstop. That's not going to fly. So I'm trying to move him to a position where that's going to be less of an issue. I think third base is more his natural spot. Jay Radke is a great center fielder. We've got some prospect pitching coming, but I also think that we made some deals to basically get some filler arms so that I don't feel like I've got to throw 200 innings some 23-year-old who's really not ready to face that yet.
I'm going to go ahead and use my first timeout because I actually had a follow-up question here, and this is the right team to talk about it, I think. You mentioned you have some young pitchers coming up. Tigers are not expected to challenge for the pennant this year.
No.
I think that's kind of a given. But obviously, there's a plan in place to build this team up. How far away do you think you are realistically?
I would like to be – I'm honest, if we get to 500 this year, I will be extremely happy. Being competitive, since there's only one playoff space per league.
I mean, first division.
First division. I really hope to be like next year, the year after.
Okay.
And I understand. I love 1950s baseball. I'll just put it that way. That's kind of in my wheelhouse. So I'm hoping that I can make some moves for that. I won't be shy of dealing some folks if I feel like I can get more return for them.
Yeah.
But it's going to be less about getting the prospects and more about getting some folks who can make us go to that next level. So
okay.
That's the game.
I like that. I imagine if you like the era as much, you want to actually enjoy being competitive in it.
Yeah, and I like the extra bullpen pieces and stuff that I found. The hitting is great. It's just we need to stop other teams from hitting.
Well, isn't that always the challenge?
Yeah.
Either one or the other. Yeah, you have one or the other. Yeah. I forgot to mention David Tupper. I like David Tupper.
Yeah, he's fun.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get moved on. I think the next team I would like you to tackle. We've kind of floated around the beast in the American League, but I want to look at the team that stole that pennant from them. Not last year, the year before, 1948, the Chicago White Sox. Go ahead.
Yes. They kind of fell back towards the middle last year. Dan Torres was probably their most notable player, led the league in steals, had 11 homers. Not quite the 40-40 kind of guy, but for this era, a nice mix of speed and power. They struggled offensively, what I noticed as Sims would happen with that connector single, that single or that walk that put somebody in scoring position, as opposed to 1948 when it seemed like there was always somebody doing that. They were very much a hero of the day kind of team then.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really kind of was willing to do that or was able to. This is another team with a very good young pitching staff. I was calling him so much when I was looking at all of this. I kept calling him Denny Martinez because of.
I know. Every time I look at him, I think he is. I almost want to change his name.
I know. I really like him a lot. He didn't have a good year in terms of wins and losses, but
only 10 and 13.
Yeah, I mean, he and Coughlin were a very nice 1-2. Darrell Higgins wasn't bad, and then David Schott was 16 and 5. And I mean, it's like, okay, where do you trip these guys up? And I know every time we played them, it seemed like it was 3-2, 4-2, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Again, if they just get some hitting together, they would be right back up. I think they're going to be first division, clearly. And I have them like just kind of a shade below where I had the Philadelphia Athletics.
Okay, I kind of like that. I mean, I think a lot of what got them the pennant in 48 was things bouncing the right way, and a lot of what got them in fourth place last year was things bouncing the wrong way. I think ultimately this team is going to be the one where things bounce in the middle this year.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Again, that pitching trio is fantastic. The one thing they got, I think, over any other team in the American League besides Philadelphia is pitching depth. Philadelphia, the Athletics are the deepest rotation in this league, followed behind the White Sox, which is going to be huge for them if they want to compete. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, you and I are professionals. We are consistently beating our time here. Just want to roll over to the next team?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's talk about the Cleveland Indians.
Oh, okay. Cleveland Indians. Let me tell you about my Cleveland Indians, okay? The Cleveland Indians are the team, either league, I am most excited about in 1950.
Okay.
The outfield is probably it's not the best trio in the league, but it is my favorite trio in the league. Blake Lockwood, Jaden Joseph, Brock Gaffney. First of all, Brock Gaffney. I mentioned players who I feel like show up on the stat sheet, guys who I noticed when running the Sims. Brock Gaffney comes up a lot. A big double here, an RBI single there, occasional home run, to win a game. Jaden Joseph is a up and coming center fielder who I think is going to clearly he's not going to maybe rival Diaz for best center fielder in the league. Maybe not get up to Revis's, but he'll be on like Revis's level for New York. He's 24 years old. And then Blake Lockwood is a former top prospect. He's got 70-80 contact right now. What it grades out to. Pete Friend is you got a friend in me and Pete Friend. He's a good power hitting first baseman. Bobby O'Brien is a player ahead of his time, hitting 234 last year with a 377 on base and 11 home runs. It's just a really good young lineup. And if you look at their prospects, they got a lot of good prospects too. What do they struggle is the pitching, which is got a couple nice arms. I like Jim Young a lot.
Cartagena is good.
Yep. They just got a couple guys who I think they have a good core. And I think the Indians are a team that's poised to take a big step forward. It's just a matter of whether or not that big step forward will be as the Indians or as something else.
Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, I like them too. I worry a little bit about the age of some of their pitchers. They've got some guys like Joey Bourgeois, 36. Mike Saunier, he's only 30, but it's kind of like he's good, but it's like if he was the closer, okay. If he was something else, it feels like setup is such a weird pitching spot to be in as in the 1950s and 40s because it's not like you see today where it's every other game they're in. But I do like the pieces they have. They've got some really fun players. Some fun. Kind of one of my favorites is Justin Gaines, who's a really good center fielder in his own right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty well. Josh Green, Josh Green's one of those throwback guys, decent on defense, decent on offense. If everything's average, you're a quality major leaguer.
Yeah.
And we're at 3.
We're at 3. All right. Tim, take us away with the St. Louis Browns.
The St. Louis Browns. They are clearly in a rebuild now mode, making some moves around, kind of cleaning the decks. Last year, they scored a ton of runs, gave up even more with the pitching staff. So offense was their strength. My favorite player on this team was Eddie Ramos, who's kind of like a do-it-all shortstop. I was surprised to see that his zone ratings were negative because I felt like he was in the middle of a lot of good defensive plays for them. Maybe it was just when they played the Tigers, and I think they led the league in double plays against us.
Real quick on Ramos. Ramos was actually the American League 1948 Gold Glove at third base. Last year they had him playing short. He's going to move back to third.
And that makes sense. And that makes perfect sense. I liked some of your pitching pieces so much that I actually traded for them.
Zach Pride.
Yep. And Dennis Gardenhire. There's some pieces here. I think this is a team that will benefit from, upcoming drafts, working that prospect wire, trying to get younger and seeing what's there. I think this is a nice rebuilding project. Again, with some good offense, so that should get the fans out and hopefully keep them in St. Louis. Maybe.
Yes, that's a dangerous situation with the Cardinals being in town.
It really is. I mean, that's a struggle.
I do like the duo we got at the top of the rotation between George Owens and Dennis Adams, although Dennis Adams apparently went to the same school of Hard Knocks that Brian Yariv did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Didn't go to finishing school.
well, I mean, and yeah, it's just. I think it's interesting the kind of personalities you get when you put together a team. Some of them are more amicable than others. The Browns last year played the single most disgustingly beautiful display of baseball I've ever seen. We did a live game in like May, them against the Senators, where the game went into extra innings. I think it was like 13-11 or something stupid like that, where there were like 20 walks either side. It was just disgusting. There were errors, there were walks, there were home runs. It was beautiful. And that really kind of encapsulates the 1949 St. Louis Browns experience. Disgustingly beautiful.
Nice.
I think long term, the team's in a good spot, though.
Oh. All right. Let's take a look at the Boston Red Sox.
All right, the Boston Red Sox. Boston Red Sox last year suffered from a lack of attentiveness from their GM. We love LB. A lot of other things drew his attention away from the team. A team that finished third in 48, second in 47, first in 46. Mm-hmm. Dropped or stayed at third again in 49. The Red Sox are interesting. They're a very top-heavy roster. They got two great pitchers, or two really good pitchers in Tony Perez and Etsumi Yoshida. Etsumi Yoshida is just league average, but league average pitching, there's a big premium on that, especially if you can do it consistently. Matt Montgomery has a chance to challenge the likes of David King for eventual best pitcher in the American League, I think. If he develops into the kind of guy who I think he can be the premier lefty like David King. And that's huge. If they can get that, all of a sudden you think a little differently about this Red Sox team. Offensively, the addition of Greg Rubino is real nice. Greg Rubino's a fantastic hitter, has been for a long time. Dan Peterson, still a good hitter. But ultimately, this lineup lacks oomph outside of the best player in all of PPL, Juan Eduardo. Juan Eduardo, the big reason why they did not probably win the pennant last year is that Juan Eduardo only played 97 games. If he plays in 130 this year, minimum, he alone is going to win 15 games. Wow. I mean, I understand that's maybe not what WAR says, but I think he alone is responsible for 15 wins to this team. He is hands down the best player in either league, and having that on your roster gives you a lot of wiggle room.
Yep.
So I like what the new GM's done with the team, adding a couple other veteran pieces to try and make a run again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is a team, in my review, my final assessment, I had championship caliber core built on a, world beater center fielder. And I was like, wow, that I went back and like double checked everything. And it's like, yeah, this team could be super competitive. And like you said, in the history, they've definitely been that. I do like the changes too. I think the attentiveness will really help them.
We've seen a 180 there.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to. I mean, you have stretches where people, they go ice cold or nagging injuries. It helps to have some there. Tony Perez is kind of like my favorite pitcher because I grew up watching a Tony Perez play third base. So I do like where the Red Sox are going to be.
Funnily enough, Tony Perez, not the first two-pitch ace for the Red Sox in their history. I think it's just kind of funny that the Red Sox are the only team I've ever noticed have two two-pitch aces in their history. The previous was John Vander Zayden, who is the only player to account for back-to-back no-hitters in league history and the only player to throw a no-hitter in the World Series.
Wow. Okay. I see an article come up. I also love the fact that Tony Perez's nickname is Howling Dan.
Howling Dan? I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Which, okay, whatever.
And I guess you are allowed to have only two pitches when you got 80-80 control and both your pitches are elite.
Yeah.
So you can put it wherever you want it, and both those pitches are unhittable.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead. I'll go ahead and wrap up your leg of the American League. Let me get the timer back open because it closed on me. Go ahead and start us off on the Washington Senators.
All right. The Washington Senators struggled. Not as much as some teams, but it's like that old joke. It's like, it's okay that they couldn't hit. They couldn't pitch either.
Hey, the Washington Senators or George Washington, first in war, first in peace, and last in the American League, or in this case, seventh.
Everybody that, like in the hitting side, everyone that I thought was kind of decent had some significant flaw. And I think those flaws last year kind of worked together to really undermine this team. Their starting pitching, Garcia, Lyson, who's now been traded away, understandably so. It was like they did okay, but then and I felt this so much because the Tigers were the same way. Starting pitching would be kind of okay, and then the bullpen would just it was a struggle. A lot of these teams in the American League, really the game doesn't get started until the 8th inning, and then that's where the true shifts start to happen. They're facing a very big rebuild. They're going to have to go out and get a lot of pieces. That work's already started. I'll be curious to see as the year goes on what they do and who they add to try to get back towards contention.
And this is going to be a really hard situation to add people. I mean, going into the year, we're in spring training right now. They have the second smallest payroll in the league. That's mainly because they have far and away the smallest budget in the league. Their owner's only old Clark Griffith. Calvin Griffith isn't owning the team yet. Clark Griffith only has $1 million to spend. For context, the New York Yankees, the defending AL champs, have $3.76 million. That gap makes it hard to sign players.
And his expectation this year is to win the championship. There's nothing like insanity in the
Oh, no shit. You got to be kidding me.
Nope.
Actually?
Yeah.
Win a championship. Oh, my gosh.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, I got to say, I get it. He's 80 now. He wants to see them go out on top one more time. This team's only ever won a single pennant in 1927 or 8. I don't think this is the year they're going to do it either, unfortunately. Yeah. All right. Come on, Tim. Let's bring us home.
All right. Let's talk about the New York Yankees.
Bronx Bombers. So there's kind of a reason that a lot of our talk, I think, in this league has hinged on the fact that there is a beast in the East that it's going to be really hard to top. And that's because all that the Yankees did was take the best team in the American League the last 2 years. I understand they didn't win it in 48, but they were the best team, and make that lineup even better. Mike Reynard, the 3-time consecutive National League MVP, comes over from the floundering Dodgers to go to other left or right field for the Yankees. I imagine they're going to keep Rivas in center, unless, of course, I think Rivas' injury history means he'll move out to corners. Brenden Jones, one of the premier power hitters in this league. He had 39 home runs last year, 49 the year before that, 52 the year before that. Chris Walls had an all-world season, 41 home runs, a 1067 OPS. Matt Denner at first base. Had an 814 OPS. Jason DeWalt at catcher is probably the best hitting catcher in the league for average.
Yes.
It's just hitter after hitter. You have a young hitter, Blaine Smith, hitter. But where this team does struggle, and the one thing on this team that makes them mortal, is the pitching. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're going to list every single starting pitcher in the American League, number 1 and number 2 are David King and Josh Sander. Santner.
Yes.
But the rest of the rotation is really suspect. Ben Lubis was their number 3 starter last year, and Ben Lubis was not pretty. He went to 11 and 10. 11 and 10 was decent. I do like the trade that they sent Lacefield to the Athletics, and they got back Raul Navarro as well as another pitching prospect. Navarro might work his way into a rotation role depending on how spring goes. But outside of that, you have Jorge Saldivar. You have Pat Delaire. I worry about the pitching staff. One big injury, and all of a sudden the Yankees are a team that have to score 6 a game to win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was blown away by Santner and King. I grew up in Ron Guidry won 25 games in 1978, and that was the talk of the American League. And they had 2 guys who win 25 games at least. I don't see anybody outscoring them. I think they've got an abundance of riches there. To your point, the pitching struggles a little bit. Defensively, I think they're fine. I don't think their pitching struggles will be enough to trip them up. Again, injuries notwithstanding. I'm curious to see. There's one young pitcher, Cody Gorman, who was pretty good in AAA last year. I could see him come up if there was a need for a 4th pitcher, 5th.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah. It's an abundance of talent here. I don't see any. I think their big goal this year is winning the World Series.
Their goal is to pull even with the Giants for most World Series wins. In 1947 they took that title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. In 1947 they tied the Giants. My bad. And then the Giants pulled ahead last year, so they got to tie them back again with their next win. Well, that concludes our team recaps. We're gonna then follow this off. Each of us are gonna give our standings predictions for where we think the American League is going to finish. We're also going to do National League as well, but that'll be for a later video. Tim, here's how I want to do this. I don't want to trade. I don't want to go team by team. I want you to work your way up.
Okay. All right. I think the Washington Senators will be in number 8. Heavy on the rebuild. I think the Tigers will finish 7th. I think the Browns finish 6th. I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I think this is less about the White Sox and more about Cleveland. I think the White Sox finish 5th.
Oh, okay.
And I think Cleveland finishes 4th. I think the Athletics finish 3rd, Boston finishes 2nd, and the Yankees finish in 1st.
I get the feeling that you and I both are going to have the exact same top 3 and the exact same middle 2 and the exact same bottom 3, just in slightly different orders, because I think the American League is a little bit more cut and dry than the National League.
Yes. I think the first division is actually 5 teams in the American League.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Well, I am going to agree with you. I got the Senators in last place. This is no big indictment on what Nick is trying to do there. No. Leisney was really the best pitcher this team had, and trading him makes perfect sense for the future.
Absolutely.
Guys, it's a tough situation, and they're going to continue to struggle here for a little while. I actually have the St. Louis Browns finishing in 7th.
Okay.
And that does, of course, mean I think the Tigers finish in 6th. However, this could always be a, who's slightly less shitty situation. Not necessarily.
We're talking about a five games between 6 and 8, honestly, to me.
Now, while I told you I was very high on the Indians, I'm not as high as you are. I am going to put them back at 5th, where they finished last year. Here's where it kind of gets tough. And we did kind of think about this going into this, but we didn't fully prepare it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Boston at 4.
Okay.
I know that's a little sacrilegious considering that I was pretty high on them, at least on one Eduardo. I really do think that the top 4, or maybe even top 5, depending on how good we think the Indians are going to be, but I really do think the American League is going to be. I think if the Yankees do win it, they're going to pull away, away.
Yeah.
But the rest of the first division is going to be very close together.
I agree. I agree with that.
And then to wrap this up, Athletics, White Sox, Yankees. I believe in that White Sox pitching, man.
Okay.
All right. And I also believe in Dan Torres and Greco.
Yes. Yeah. Greco.
I forgot to mention him earlier. All right.
All right.
Well, if you want to pull the camera back to just us two here.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you all for joining us. This is going to be the first of 2 videos. Our companion video will come up tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll cover the National League. This has been a lot of fun. I'm hoping that we can continue to do this year in, year out as we go through many, many decades of the PPL. But for now, get ready for the start of the 1950 season. I'm really excited to be here with you all. I'm really excited to have been here with Tim, my good friend, who is, as always, is a much better analyst than I am, and I do appreciate that about him.
Those that can't do can talk about
it. Well, from both Tim and myself, we'll see you tomorrow.